heard you talk about the generations that are upcoming in this country, and not with a very rosy perspective. You have a lot of concern about just the temperament, the ideology, the way these kids have been raised, that doesn't lead itself well to adapt to this looming future.
Well, I'm a Gen Xer, so I'm always going to belittle and look down on the millennials, mostly because they deserve it. My big concern moving forward, though, is not so much the millennials, because the millennials exist in large number. They're providing the consumption ballast of today, the investment ballast of tomorrow. They're, to be perfectly blunt, going to save us all. My concern is with the Zoomers, the younger kids 22 and under. There aren't a lot of them. They're our smallest generation ever.
By what factor?
There are about 30% fewer of them than there were millennials at the same age.
And what do you attribute that to?
Well, their parents were Gen X. We were a small generation too. So a small generation generates a small generation, and they were raised in an era of digitization. So an iPad was part of their childhood experience, which means they're a little bit more socially awkward, and they date less, and they are less comfortable around other people. So they are likely to also generate very few children. Now, this is something that the Germans and the Chinese and the Italians have been dealing with for 70 years, smaller and smaller generations. But this is new for us.
How do you see that playing out?
The technology changes. It changes you, you change it. And the Zoomers are the generation who's going to decide what all this interconnectivity means. And if they can figure out how to do that and still have families, we'll be fine. And if they can't, we are starting down the German path. Now, worst case scenario, we still have another 60 years.